Formed in 1983, the hair metal band Poison's original lineup would consist of vocalist Bret Michaels, guitarist Matt Smith, bassist Bobby Dall, and drummer Rikki Rockett. The band, which hailed from Pennsylvania, soon grew frustrated with their lack of success and decided to move out to the West Coast. It was around 1985 their original guitarist quit the band after his girlfriend got pregnant, and they moved back home to Pennsylvania. At one point, Guns N' Roses guitarist Slash auditioned for the band, but he didn't seem to gel with them as he didn't agree with their idea of makeup and costumes. However, soon afterwards, they crossed paths with guitarist CC DeVille, who hailed from Brooklyn. Influenced by the likes of the New York Dolls and Lou Reed, he too was a frustrated musician who headed out west from New York for greener pastures. CC would nail the audition and was now the band's guitarist, but along with his talent, he also brought along some bad habits, with drummer Rikki Rockett revealing in the book Nothin But a Good Time. CC was a little bit of a bad influence, okay, because he was actually doing things like that before we really got him in the band. Meanwhile, CC would add in the same book, following the multiplatinum success of the group's first album, all of a sudden your real life exceeds your dreams, but then if you still kind of feel empty for something else, for whatever it is, well then drugs come in. The group's second album, Open Up and Say Ah, would be released 2 years later in 1988, and producer Tom Werman would recall just how difficult guitarist CC DeVille was in the studio, recalling, "He was loud and he was funny and he was all over the place, very energetic, and so was his playing. He was more concerned with being as fast as Eddie Van Halen than with being creative. The solo for Nothin But a Good Time took 8 hours, partially because CC was constantly going back and forth to the bathroom." By the early 90s, substance abuse and a clash of egos soon took over Poison. Frontman Bret Michaels would reveal in the same book, "CC was getting effed up and I was drinking. He was high, but I'm drunk. We were having rows, he slammed me, I slammed him. We kept having really stupid arguments, stuff like his guitar was too loud for me to hear myself sing. We just couldn't get it straightened out. I called it our substance egos. We had just been on tour way too long. Everyone was paranoid and down." In 1990, Poison would release their third studio record, Flesh and Blood, which proved to be a commercial success. It was during the tour to support the album at one show in New Orleans that Michaels and CC would come to blows. And then in June of 91, the band canceled subsequent tour dates, starting rumors that Poison was done. Then it all came to a head at the 1991 MTV Video Music Awards in September, where Poison was scheduled to perform their new single, Unskinny Bob. But during the performance, CC would play the song Talk Dirty to Me. Adding to the problems was that his guitar got unplugged while on stage, and host Arsenio Hall tried to save things by introducing the band a second time. What happened behind the scenes is still subject to debate. One version of events is that the guitarist didn't want to play the band's new single, and that's why he played Talk Dirty to Me. Another version is that the guitarist misunderstood what Bret Michaels said on stage, hence why he played Talk Dirty to Me. Here's what happened that night on live television.
Wanna make love to me in the sky. Come up and pull me to the front. What's been going on in here? Woo! Alright, let's get it fun. All night and day, sing it! Sing it, baby. Alright, hold on. Woo!
Well, actually, they need no introduction, right? I'll give them one anyway. Poison!
You ready, man? Let's get down to it a little, let it play. Something goes like this. CC, give me D now. You ready to talk dirty to me? Woo! Hit it, CC.
It was following the performance Michaels and CC got into a fistfight, and the guitarist was abruptly fired from the band. Then in 1992, the LA Times reported about a fight between CC and Michaels during the singer's appearance on a radio show. Michaels would appear on the nationally syndicated pirate radio Saturday Night Show that was hosted by one of Rip Magazine's editors. CC called into the program and yelled at his former bandmate, claiming he was unfairly kicked out of the band and he was hurt by comments Michaels made about the guitarist, referring to him as, and I quote, "Bozo the expletive clown," when talking about the band's MTV Video Music Awards appearance. While the interview was never publicly aired, the tape did make the rounds in the music industry. The LA Times did transcribe an exchange that went as follows. Michaels would say, "We didn't even say you were gone until you went into expletive press and slammed me up against the wall. I read 10 of them." To which CC responded, "In USA Today, you said you needed a guitar player whose head was together and doesn't do drugs." Michaels would respond, "I didn't say anything about drugs. I said one who has his head on straight, and you admitted you don't have your head on straight. You don't. You didn't want to be in the band, but you didn't want to leave, and you didn't want to stay." By 1995, the guitarist would get sober, and the following year, he rejoined Poison. Between 96 and 2000, the band toured extensively and put out a few songs, but they would once again hit rough times in the year 2000. MTV News reported that the guitarist had once again left Poison over a dispute with frontman Bret Michaels. The source of the tension was over musical differences and his side project Samantha 7. Michaels would tell MTV, "We had a great tour last summer. I drove home with CC, we laughed and hugged, and he said, 'See you in a couple weeks.' Nothing was wrong. He hasn't called me once since then, and I've left 6 or 7 messages." Then he tells the label he doesn't want to write and work with Poison. CC would only want to play material he originally worked on. He just wanted to rehash the old Poison stuff and work on his new band. "I really wanted to work on new material. I don't want to be rehashing the old catalog for the rest of my life. I'm too young for that." MTV News would report that CC was unhappy that his other band, Samantha 7, was not allowed to open for Poison on that summer's tour. Michaels would tell MTV that he didn't want them to open for them on the bill, saying, "I feel when we go out in the summer as Poison, it should be Poison. I've got one solo album and another on the way, but I don't call Poison and threaten that if they don't let me open, I don't do the tour." But 2 weeks later, the guitarist was finally back in the band. He would tell MTV News that the choice was easy, as he had to decide between playing in front of 18,000 people or 18 with his side project. The guitarist and the band made up when he appeared at that year's NAMM show in Los Angeles, when CC stood in line to see Poison drummer Rikki Rockett at a drum company booth. The two musicians worked out their problems, and he was soon back in the band. Since this time, CC has remained in Poison, and the band has put out several new albums and toured extensively. That does it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like button and subscribe. We'll see you again, Rock and Roll Your Stories. Take care.